Уважаемые дамы и господа, присаживайтесь, присаживайтесь, занимайте, пожалуйста, свои места. Уважаемые дамы и господа, присаживайтесь. У нас сегодня телевизионная съемка. Большая просьба во время телевизионной съемки не пользоваться мобильными телефонами и не вставать со своих мест во время церемонии награждения и концертных номеров. Присаживайтесь, пожалуйста. Уважаемые господа, присаживайтесь, занимайтесь, пожалуйста, свои места.
Armenia, the land of Noah. For millennia, Armenians created an ancient civilization of builders, healers, scientists, and storytellers at the crossroads of world cultures. They survived conquests and empires, contributed to trade, art, literature, and science, becoming a truly global people. In 1915, under the cover of the Great War, 1.5 million Armenians perished from their ancient homeland, along with their culture and way of life. This was a genocide perpetrated by the Ottoman Empire against its own citizens. Across the four corners of the globe, men, women, and children fled, seeking shelter and a life of peace. They were determined and resilient. The fortunate ones were saved by unsung heroes who risked their lives. Among the saved children was Aurora Mardiganyan, an orphaned 17-year-old survivor of the atrocities. She became the star of Ravished Armenia, the first major motion picture produced in Hollywood about the genocide. Based on her autobiography, Aurora was cast in the starring role, reenacting the trauma of her young life and telling the story of her people. The film premiered to sold-out audiences in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and more than 100 cities across the United States, the United Kingdom, France, and Australia. Aurora's autobiography sold several hundreds of thousands of copies. She became an international phenomenon during the silent film era, a symbol of survival, goodwill, and the devastation of the genocide. She was the icon of philanthropic aid for the survivors. In 1919, the monumental success of Ravished Armenia raised international awareness and $30 million for 60,000 orphans in the Near East. To this day, Aurora remains a testament to the living memory of the genocide and the gratitude of the Armenian people to their saviors. True to her name, Aurora became the symbol of light and hope for an entire generation. Those who survived and resisted the genocide, like Aurora, were scattered around the world and persevered. They rebuilt their lives and communities with dignity, ever grateful to the Samaritans who rescued their families. Men and women like Jacob Kunzler, Bodil Bjorn, Maria Jacobson, Fridtjof Nansen, and so many others put their lives at risk to heal and protect the refugees and survivors. The world today faces man-made disasters not unlike those of a century ago. Every day, heroes worldwide answer the call of human duty. These rare and brave men and women are among us. They are our neighbors. They are the strangers on the streets we pass. They work in the far corners of the world, saving lives with open hearts. On behalf of the survivors of the Armenian genocide, and in gratitude to their saviors, the Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity honors the power of the human spirit that compels action in the face of adversity. Anyone, anywhere in the world is eligible for the prize. We salute those who dedicate their lives to enabling others to live and make a difference.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. President, Your Holiness, I am David Ignatius, and it's my honor to be hosting for the second time the annual awards ceremony of the Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity. First, let me thank the director of the moving video prologue, the Armenian-American filmmaker Eric Nazarian. And the State Youth Orchestra of Armenia, conducted by Sergei Symbatian, for their performance of Aurora's Dream, specially composed for Aurora by Serge Tankian. I am very happy to be back with you in Yerevan. There's a way in which this capital is a home for every Armenian. My grandfather, Hofsep, came to the United States from Harpert in 1904, and he became a proud American, but he was always an Armenian American. Once my Aunt Migzi told Hofsep that he was lucky to have come to America, and he thundered back, "America is lucky to have me." I wish my grandfather could have lived to see his son, my father, now 96, honored last month as the namesake at the launching of a new U.S. Navy destroyer, the USS Paul Ignatius. My family, like so many of yours, survived because of courage and determination and the kindness of others. My great-grandfather, Avidus Matios Jamgochen, was apprehended by Ottoman authorities for writing pro-Armenian poetry and sought refuge in Manchester, England. My great-aunt Avni survived the march across the desert in 1915, according to our family lore, by clutching her Bible to her breast. She made it to America. A great-uncle was adopted by an Arab after the death of his baby sister and mother in that terrible trek. Eventually, he too made it to America. What binds us at this second Aurora ceremony is the understanding of suffering, the determination to survive, and the gratitude for those who help the needy and defenseless. This is what Armenians have to share with the world, the truth of Jesus' invocation. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you comforted me. Whatever you do for the least of my brothers, you do for me. Let us repeat that tonight in our hearts. Tonight, Aurora's founders, Vartan Gregorian, Nubar Afayan, and Ruben Vardanian, invite us to share that sense of gratitude in action, honoring the memory of those who helped so many to survive by actually continuing to do good as an expression of that gratitude. They created a prize that would celebrate humanity and its fight against adversity and pay tribute to people who themselves are contributing to the cause of saving lives and promoting humanism. They hoped for a snowball that would sweep hundreds and then thousands and then millions. The founders of the Aurora Prize took special inspiration from the triumph over adversity of Aurora Mardiganian, the woman who miraculously survived atrocities and persecutions, as you saw in Eric's beautiful video. Each year, Aurora's prize ceremony will be a celebration of this spirit of shared humanity and resilience. This year, the celebration takes place on May 28, a date that embodies the resilience of survivors who, just 3 years after the genocide, declared and sustained an independent Armenian Republic from 1918 to 1920. The Aurora Prize is unique. The prize laureate is given the responsibility and opportunity of allocating $1 million to those international charities and foundations whose activities are the most significant to him or her. It's an 8-year commitment, 2015 to 2023, in remembrance of the 8 years of the Armenian genocide from 1915 to 1923. It supports people and promotes projects that tackle the needs of the most helpless and destitute in our world, and who do so at great risk. Armenians could talk about their families forever, a little bit as I have just done, but now it's time for me to leave center stage to our heroes and take my place at my work spot, the stage left. Thank you. So, last year's Aurora Prize laureate was the first. Marguerite Barankitsa, who saved thousands of lives during the civil war in Burundi, is here again today. She exemplifies the Aurora concept of the cycle of giving by having selected organizations in Brazil, the Republic of Congo, and elsewhere to distribute her prize money. She continues to lead by example. Please welcome her tonight with a round of applause.
Thanks to Aurora Prize, everybody is shining this evening. And imagine how Aurora Prize restored the lives of Burundian refugees and how they give us hope and dignity. Aurora Prize showed to us, everybody, that we can dream, we can change, we can rebuild a world where it's good to live. With the fund, of course, many children, many young people can go to school. Many young people from Congo, from Brazil, from Burundi, they can learn. They can have the better weapon to change the world. Education. Yes. Yes, Ruben. Yes, Vartan. Yes, Nuba. We can join you and dream and change the world. Let us join them and change the world. We can sing together this evening. We can change the world. You accept to join Vartan, Ruben, Nuba, and change the world? Yes. Okay. Then everybody will join Ruben, Vartan, and Nuba. Thank you. Thank you to exist. Thank you.
Thank you, Marguerite. As you take your seat, you really are the spirit of joyful action in gratitude. I'd like to share with you now the memory of another hero who embodies that same idea of gratitude in action. As a person who had been rescued himself, he showed lifelong gratitude by working tirelessly to combat man's inhumanity to man and to inspire others to take responsibility when others were in peril. I'm talking about Elie Wiesel. Last year, he sat on the Aurora Prize Selection Committee and contributed to the selection of the finalists, but was unable to attend the prize ceremony due to poor health. Elie Wiesel departed from us on July 2nd, 2016, but he leaves his books and his ideas by which we will remember him now.
Whenever and wherever human beings endure suffering and humiliation, we must speak, we must take sides. For neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. When human lives are endangered, when human dignity is in jeopardy, national borders and sensitivities become irrelevant wherever men or women are persecuted because of their race, religion, or political views. That place must, at that moment, become the center of the universe. What all these victims need, above all, is to know that they are not alone, that we are not forgetting them, that when their voices are stifled, we shall lend them ours, that while their freedom depends on ours, the quality of our freedom depends on theirs.
That powerful speech was an extract from Elie Wiesel's Nobel Prize speech, and it's in lasting memory of him. When I was a boy, the music I loved most was my mother playing Bach on the piano. Sometimes she played the piano that my grandmother, Elisa Jamgochian, had brought from Manchester, England, when she came to America in 1911, and that my own daughter, Dr. Elisa Ignatius, plays now. Bach's music tells us what is universal across time, space, and culture. His work is the product of genius, of love and light, as in the Toccata and Fugue in D minor, which interweaves the beating of angels' wings with the tick-tock of passing time. A special interpretation of that masterpiece has been commissioned for the Aurora Prize ceremony tonight. You will now hear Bach's Toccata and Fugue in D minor, performed by the State Youth Orchestra of Armenia, conducted by Sergei Sambatyan, incorporating ethnic musicians and instruments from the 5 countries from which the Aurora 2017 finalists are drawn. So let us welcome, from Sudan, Asia Musa Abdullah Bilal; from Syria, Michael Ibrahim; from Somalia, Saeed Hussein Omar; from Afghanistan, Qureshi; and from Congo, Hyacinth Mombasa. And now the Toccata and Fugue in D minor. Wow. That's an experience of Bach across time and space that I'll never forget. Special thanks to the orchestra, the conductor, and the wonderful musicians who joined us from afar tonight. Dear friends, in medieval times, philosophers like to speak of a great chain of being that bound each generation to the next. The Aurora Prize celebrates individuals whose lives are part of a similar, unbroken chain of caring and giving. Their values are universal, but each comes from a particular culture, a special link in that chain. I want to share with you the cultures of the 5 places from which our finalists tonight are drawn. And by culture, tonight I'm going to be describing the simple ritual of putting a child to bed. I'll begin with Somalia, a country that has known continual war for 40 years. For help, I asked a young Somali refugee named Abdi Iftin, who now lives in Maine in America, what songs and stories he remembered from when he was a boy. His special favorite was about how a fox outsmarted a crocodile and stole his tongue. Here are the words of a song that Abdi remembers hearing, tied to his mother's back in the African way as she paced back and forth to send him to sleep. It's called Huwaya Hua. Mom is not here, my dear. She walked out the door tiptoeing, took her slippers with her. She may be with the camel herders. She may be sleeping under the acacia tree, but she will return with butter and camel milk. Shh. She will feed you when you wake up. Our first finalists struggle to bring peace to that Somalia so that mothers can safely care for their children. Fartun Adan and her daughter, Ilwad Elman. I would like to invite now to the stage Alice Greenwald, who was named by the National September 11 Memorial and Museum's Board of Directors as President and CEO in the United States, and the President of Mexico from 1994 to 2000, and a member of the Selection Committee, Ernesto Zedillo, and a Russian businessman, founder, and owner of Telkotel, Albert Avdolian. Please welcome them to the stage.
Much, David. I would like to talk about gratitude in action. The countless survivors around the world who owe their chance at life to the generosity of others can best acknowledge such benevolence by taking similar action. That is gratitude in action, the concept that drives the Aurora Humanitarian Initiative. The Aurora Humanitarian Initiative co-founders created this organization as gratitude in action. They want to inspire those who have received help in a time of crisis to express gratitude by offering similar assistance to someone else. By involving supporters around the world, gratitude in action will become a global endeavor that will snowball to expand the circle of saviors and, most importantly, the number of those saved.
Спасибо. Я очень рад быть здесь сегодня на этой премии. Я считаю, что это большое дело, которое затеяли наши соотечественники Рубен, Нубар, и же с ними. Этот проект лично для меня имеет большое значение, так как он касается моей семьи лично. Я считаю, что этот проект должен расширять свои границы, он должен делать нас сильнее, для того, чтобы мы решали все гуманитарные проблемы, которые сегодня встают, и задачи, которые сегодня встают перед нами. К сожалению, их встает все больше и больше. И такие проекты должны их решать, таких проектов должно быть больше. Мы вместе с вами всем, чем можем. Спасибо.
In 1996, in Somalia, a good man, a remarkable man, a peacemaker, was assassinated by Somali warlords. This good man's wife, for security, to protect her family, took them to another country. Not too long after, she decided to visit her country, Somalia, and went back. And in that visit, this woman decided that she had to stay. She had to stay to help others, even if she had to leave part of her family back to Canada, in Canada. What she did was to help many people, but particularly women that were victims of violence, of aggression, victims of sexual violence. She created an incredible organization to help those women. And since then, literally hundreds of women have been helped by this admirable, unique woman. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to call Fartun Adam to come before you. Fartun, please come here.
Thank you, Alice, Albert, and Ernesto. Welcome, Fartun. We will now watch a short film on the work of Fartun and Ilwad that was created by Andrei Loshak and his team and Stereotactic. Your attention, please, to the screen.
Somalia has been in conflict for more than 25 years. There were always a lot of child soldiers among fighters. Once I spoke to father of child soldier, the Al-Shabaab man was saying, we can give it back to your son, but you have to pay $30 every month. And he said, I can't pay $30. I can't even pay $5. So they forced the son to fight. My husband, Mahmoud Ali Ahmed, established the Elman Peace Center. All around Mogadishu, he had the car repairs, he educated and trained the boys and then hired them. He had a slogan, put the gun, take the pen. Warlords didn't like his idea. In 1996, Elman was killed. I took my girls, my 3 daughters, to Canada. I wanted my girls to have education. That's why I was there. But I'm always have in my mind, and I always tell them I'll go back to Mogadishu. In 2007, I came back to Somalia and opened Elman Peace Center again. And then my daughters came one by one. Ilwad now is working with me. When she came, I was happy because she was helping me, but at the same time, I can feel the risk.
There was war, there was mortars everywhere, coming from Canada and just being thrown and all of that. It was very terrifying, but after a week, I started going to the centers and seeing the work that she was doing, and I understood that people needed her and that she was actually creating change, and just as we needed her, other people needed her.
They learn plumbing, vehicle repair, mobile repair, and other practical skills. Most of them were taken from Al-Shabaab. When you hear Al-Shabaab, you expect the worst. But when you stay with them and see how they are playing and learning, they are just children. They need a chance for a new life.
markaa degnay nimankii ay tashkiiliyey al-shabaab ay tashkiiliyey rag meesha magaalada joogay markay ay tashkiiliyeen waan raacay nimankii soo bax jihaadka soo gal waan raacay.
There is an agreement in place that any child that is apprehended or captured at the front line or surrenders within 72 hours has to be handed over to our centers. We want to give them an alternative that is peaceful, and less fighters means less fighting. 3 cases of rape that happened in this IDP camp just today. There are a lot of internally displaced people's camps in and around Mogadishu. Living conditions are awful. People don't have money, food, there's no safety. Armed men come to the camps at night to rob and rape women. But because of fear and stigma, victims of sexual violence don't speak about it. We were able to generate a discussion that never before existed on the extent of sexual violence in Somalia. We were threatened, some of our staff were jailed, but we have made it so that there are now policy changes protecting the rights of women. We opened the Women's Development Center, where survivors of sexual and gender-based violence are rebuilding their lives. This is through skills development, through literacy and other forms of education, through providing safe houses, shelters, through the clinical management of rape and giving them actual access to health services. In case you're a victim of rape and your family or clan disowns you, you can empower yourself with confidence so that you don't need to rely on anyone. I was not going to stay in Somalia, but having worked with my mom, I saw that I was actually helpful and useful, so I stayed. I found purpose here, found purpose in Somalia.
You can see the change. I just don't want to stay home and do your own family only. But I have so many family now, so many kids who call me mom. Sorry. The work we do is very emotional.
Let us now present the Aurora Finalist Prize to Fardoon. Fardoon, we're so happy you could be here. Perhaps you would say a few words. We're sorry that your daughter could not join you.
Thank you very much. And I'm humble, I'm grateful to be here and to recognize the work we're doing in Somalia. Sorry, my daughter, she can't be here. Because we have an issue, we're negotiating with the child soldiers. And she has to be there. But she was so excited. She was so excited to be here, but she's not here. But on behalf of her, we are so happy to recognize that the work we're doing in Somalia, I know it's a hard and risk, but that's what we chose to do it. And we need the support for anyone who can help us. Thank you very much.
Fartun, I know that we're moved that your daughter, who was the co-finalist with you, can't be here because she's doing exactly what the Aurora initiative is about. Next, I'd like to turn to a second country and tell you about a song that a child might hear from his mother along the banks of the Congo River. It's about frogs, little animals that a Congolese child sees every day. It's called Kula Kula Kuyu Kudi Kunyi, which translates much less musically as frogs, frogs, where are you going? Frogs, frogs, where are you going? We're going to the market of Baluba. If they catch you, what will they do? They will turn us all into lizards. Now sleep, child. The second finalist and a second link in our great chain is a Congolese doctor, Dr. Denis Mukwege. For nearly 20 years, despite threats and attacks, Dr. Mukwege has been helping the victims of rapes committed during the war in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Before inviting Dr. Mukwege to receive his Aurora Prize medal, I'd like to observe that the challenge that he and the rest of the finalists have overcome is the natural human tendency to apathy and isolation. The many stories gathered by the Aurora 100 Lives project were about transcending fear, hatred, and victimhood and transforming those who've been rescued into a new generation of heroes. This is the Aurora Triangle, a movement from victim to rescued to savior. To present the prize medal, I'd like to invite onto the stage a woman who has won the Nobel Peace Prize for her efforts in the field of democracy and human rights, particularly for her work on behalf of women and children in Iran, Shireen Ebadi. I would also like to invite the director of Rice University's Baker Institute for Public Policy, a man who has served under 8 U.S. presidents, including as ambassador to Israel and to Syria, a man who's a personal friend of mine for many years, Edward Jurigian. And with them, the founder of the Chabensky Foundation and distinguished artist of Russia, Konstantin Chabensky.
خوشحالم که برای دومین سال متوالی بر روی این صحنه ایستادم و بشریت رو با شما جشن میگیرم.
I'm glad to be on this stage for the second year in a row to celebrate with you humanity.
همان گونه که متوجه شده ایم، اورورا در شرف تبدیل به یک جنبش بین‌المللی است، ولی یک جنبه مهم اورورا تغییر نکرده. این جنبه مثبت مثلث اوروراست. این مثلث متشکل است از 3 گروه: ناجیان، بازماندگان و افراد در معرض خطر. اقدام بشردوستانه اورورا قدردانی از اعمال این مثلث است. گروه اول ناجی‌ها هستند، همانند فینالیست های جایزه اورورا و فردی که نهایتاً برنده این جایزه شده.
As we all see, Aurora is becoming an international movement. However, one important aspect of Aurora remains unchanged. This is the Aurora Triangle. Saviors, survivors, and people at risk are the 3 groups that form the triangle of the Aurora Humanitarian Initiative, driving gratitude in action. The first group is represented by the saviors, individuals such as the Aurora Prize finalists, an ultimate laureate honored by the Aurora ceremony.
گروه دوم بازماندگان هستند که عبارت دیگر افرادی که ناجی بر زندگی آنان تأثیر گذاشته و بر چالش‌های فراوان غلبه یافتند. ما به خاطر حیات این بازماندگان به ناجی‌ها و مساعی آنها مدیونیم.
The second group is represented by the survivors, people impacted by the saviors who've overcome immense challenges. We will honor the people, life, and mission of the savior through the lives of the survivors, now able to carry on thanks to the savior.
در حالی که اکثر سازمان‌ها و اقدام‌های بشردوستانه تمرکزشان را بر ناجی‌ها و بر بازماندگان است، اقدام بشردوستانه اورورا اهمیت گروه سوم را به رسمیت می‌شناسد. کسانی که ممکن است امروز در معرض خطر باشند با فراهم کردن بلندگویی برای داستان ناجیان موجود و به رسمیت شناختن اعمال نیک آنان.
While most humanitarian organizations and initiatives focus on the savior and survivors, the Aurora Humanitarian Initiative and Aurora Prize recognize the importance of a third group of people, those who may be at risk today. By amplifying stories and recognizing the good work of existing saviors, the Aurora Humanitarian Initiative hopes to demonstrate their impact and inspire those at risk to not only become survivors, but to become the new saviors.
اقدام بشردوستانه اورورا امید دارد که تأثیر آنان را برجسته کند و در عین حال اشخاص در معرض خطر الهام دهد که از بازماندگان به ناجی‌های آینده تبدیل شوند. بنابراین اقدام اورورا سعی دارد که از اهدای صرفاً یک جایزه فراتر رفته و آن را تبدیل به یک جنبش بین‌المللی کند.
It's because of this, and it is in this way that the Aurora Initiative strives to go beyond merely the Aurora Prize ceremony and to truly build a movement.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Let me say how much I continue to be abundantly impressed by the Aurora vision. The Aurora Humanitarian Initiative is not just about the past, but also looks to the impact in the future. Its mission is to inspire the conversion of gratitude felt by the survivor toward the Savior into the feeling of empathy towards those at risk today, and to urge those who ask themselves, what can I do to help those who are still in need? In 2015, 3 Armenian businessmen and philanthropists started this movement. In 2016, 70 others joined them by offering their support. In the future, we hope to see thousands pledge their support and continuing to expand gratitude in action throughout the global community. As the movement grows around the world, this will become truly a global endeavor that will snowball to expand the triangle of saviors and, most importantly, to those, the number of those saved, meaning that more humanitarian problems can be addressed, and ideally, the need for this prize will ultimately disappear. Thank you.
Добрый вечер, уважаемые дамы и господа, дорогие единомышленники. Не желая мириться с разрушительной войной на востоке Демократической Республики Конго, доктор Денис Муквеге в 1999 году основал госпиталь Панзи. С этого момента доктор Муквеге и его коллеги помогли более чем 50 тысячам жертв сексуального насилия. Госпиталь Панзи, помимо оказания многопрофильных медицинских услуг, предоставляет своим пациентам также юридическую и социальную помощь. В своих действиях, направленных на усиление защиты прав женщин, доктор Муквеге всегда был бесстрашен, призывая привлечь к судебной ответственности виновных в случаях сексуальной сексуального насилия, включая представителей правительства Демократической Республики Конго и членов групп ополчения, осаждающих восточную часть страны. Доктор Мусквеге стал обладателем множества наград, включая премию Сахарова, которую он получил в 2014 году. А в 2016 году вошел в список 50 крупнейших мировых лидеров по версии журнала «Фортуна». Доктор Мусквеге является обладателем докторской степени в Гарвардском университете и 5 лет подряд номинирован на Нобелевскую премию мира.
Thank you, Dr. Abadi, and we welcome on stage Dr. Mukweji.
L'Est du Congo, toute mon enfance, quand je suis venu travailler ici, c'était un véritable paradis. Tout a commencé à basculer en 1994, juste après les génocides rwandais. Les conflits interethniques avaient traversé les frontières entre le Congo et le Rwanda. Et c'est surtout les femmes qui en furent les premières victimes. Après mes études en France, à Angers, je me suis investi à lutter contre la mortalité maternelle. Mais ma première patiente fut une femme qui avait été violée par plusieurs personnes. Comme ça ne suffisait pas, ils ont tiré dans son appareil génital. Au bout de 3 mois, nous avons eu encore 45 patientes qui venaient avec la même histoire. La région a été emparée par l'épidémie de la violence.
Wakati alianza nigombanisha, kuona giza alikuwa ananishinda nguvu, akifika na niangusha. Ukuniangusha, akitosha manguo, akinilala. Kisha tukaona waraia mtombo. Wakanibeba na wengine wakabeba mama.
Shimbana obufumbangira basinga akabachirunda bwerikiro uyu mwana. Bulia obukenge bwansambara bwenene.
À mon avis, ce n'était pas un acte sexuel. C'était des viols utilisés plutôt comme une arme de destruction massive. Autrefois, ça avait commencé par les armées étrangères, mais aujourd'hui, le viol a métastasé dans la population locale. J'avais éprouvé le plus grand choc quand pour la première fois, j'avais soigné un bébé de 18 mois. Après, j'avais continué à soigner plusieurs fois des bébés violés. La plus petite n'avait que 6 mois.
Alikuwa angali mtoto mdogo sana, nikasema nifanye nini? Nikaangalia kule chini, nikaona kuko damu.
En 2012, mon discours à l'Assemblée générale des Nations Unies à New York dénonçait l'inertie de la communauté internationale et des autorités étatiques. Dès mon retour, ma famille et moi avions été attaqués. Mon gardien, qui m'a sauvé la vie, mais lui, il a eu malheureusement une balle, 2 balles mortelles, dans la tête et dans le dos. Ma famille et moi étions forcés de prendre le chemin de l'exil en direction d'Europe pour nous sécuriser. Mais les braves femmes de la région avaient entamé une collecte de fonds pour payer mon billet d'avion retour en vendant les fruits et légumes. Je n'avais pas alors d'autre choix que de rentrer et m'occuper de mes patientes. Lorsque j'ai commencé à recevoir les filles issues du viol, j'avais alors compris qu'il était donc devenu important de se tourner vers la société qui stigmatise les femmes victimes de violences sexuelles. Celles-ci étaient rejetées par leurs maris et leurs familles, chassées de leur village. La meilleure manière de leur redonner la dignité est de penser à une prise en charge holistique, une prise en charge psychologique, économique, juridique, au-delà de la prise en charge seulement médicale. Nous leur octroyons des kits de réinsertion pour qu'elles deviennent indépendantes. Depuis mon retour d'exil, je ne quitte presque plus le périmètre de l'hôpital. Je vis sous la protection de la police de la MONUSCO. J'espère que c'est une mesure provisoire. Je crois que les hommes de bien devraient aussi utiliser leur voix pour condamner le mal. Et nous pouvons vaincre le mal si les hommes du bien viennent ensemble. Amen.
And now, please, the presentation of our finalist prize to Dr. Mukwege.
All victims of sexual violence and rape should have access to services centered on individual women and provide in a holistic way in order to restore their dignity. This must be seen as a fundamental human right and a response to our lack of protection of one of the most valuable resources of our common humanity. Thank you to the Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity for nominating me as a finalist for this prize and to invite me at this extraordinary event celebrating humanity's response to adversity. We all should be grateful to women because they give life, they protect life, and ultimately, for who they are at the center of the humanity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mukwege. As you and the other finalists in these beautiful films remind us, we do have heroes among us, and we're so grateful for them. Ladies and gentlemen, before we meet the next finalist, let us try to imagine what might lull a frightened baby in Afghanistan to sleep. For help, I turn to a young Afghan woman named Shakek Birashk, who fled from Kabul to India to America and is now back in Kabul. The song she recalled from her girlhood, a Dari lullaby called Lalo, or Sleep, has not been lost or replaced in 40 years of conflict. Here are the words. The child behind the window, sleep. Your father has gone hunting. Your mother has gone to work. Ah, sleep. You're a beautiful child in a cradle. The cradle is made of gold and decorated with pearls. Ah, Lalo, child, Lalo. The Aurora Prize recognizes heroes whose lives are lived in permanent risk and are devoted to fighting for the rights of the oppressed in places like Afghanistan that are racked by continual suffering. In looking for tonight's prize recipient, we received 253 unique stories, 253, from 66 countries where heroes are fighting injustice and violence. By sharing these and other stories, we hope the Aurora message spreads. Aurora was launched by Armenians, but we recognize that we don't have a monopoly on suffering nor a vision of a panacea, but maybe we can help lead the way. We hope that the Aurora vision will transform into an international effort, shifting from an Armenia focus to an international community of conscience. We'll welcome our finalists from Afghanistan in a moment, but first I would like to invite to the stage Nobel Peace Prize winner, Liberian peace activist, and executive director of the Women, Peace and Security Network in Africa, Lema Gabawi. Composer, songwriter, and a member of the Aurora Prize Creative Council, Marina Alesh. I would also like to invite onto the stage the chief executive of Unilever, one of the world's leading food and consumer goods companies, and the manager of the Kilimanjaro Blind Trust, Dutch businessman and philanthropist Paul Pullman.
Thank you. It is truly an honor to share the stage with those who believe, as I do, that each of us, in our own unique way, can in fact make a difference. The Aurora Humanitarian Initiative is rooted in the Armenian diaspora culture and memory, but it is truly an international endeavor in practice. Launched by descendants of Armenian genocide survivors, the initiative aims to unite the global, and you can see me, I'm sure there are no Armenian women dressed like me, humanitarian community with values of expressing gratitude for those risking themselves so that others might not only survive, but thrive.
The Aurora Prize for Awakening Humanity was established on behalf of the descendants of the survivors of the Armenian genocide and in gratitude to those who risked their own well-being to help them survive. Rooted in the inspiring stories of courage and survival, each year's Aurora Prize ceremony is a celebration of the spirit of shared humanity and resilience. This year, that celebration will culminate on May 28th, known as First Republic Day. May 28th embodies the resilience of survivors who just 3 years after the genocide declared and sustained an independent Armenian Republic from 1918 to 1920.
Բարի երեկո, ես շատ ուրախ եմ, ես հպարտ եմ, որ այսօր մենք բոլորով հավաքվել ենք Aurora մրցանակաբաշխության երկրորդ տարին է և մեր առաջին հանրապետության 99-րդ տարեդարձը, դա հատկանշական է, որ համընկել է և ինձ թվում է, որ Երբ որ մեզ պարգևում են կյանքը, կյանքի իրավունքը, մեզ պարգևում են եւ ավելի շուտ մեզնից ինչ որ բան եւ երևի սպասվում է։ Մենք ինչ որ պարտականություններ ունենք, ոչ միայն անցած սերունդների արժև, որոնք մեզ այս կյանքի հնարավորությունն են տվել, նաև այն սերունդներին, որոնց մենք այս կյանքը պետք է փոխանցենք։ Եվ ես հույսով եմ, ես հավատում եմ, որ մեր Երևանը հայերենով մայրաքաղաք են ասում, մեր մայրաքաղաք Երևանը կդառնա համաշխարհային մարդասիրական մեծ կենտրոններից մեկը։ Շնորհակալություն։
Thank you, Lema, Paul, and Marina. Before I invite our next finalist on stage, I'd ask you to remain seated for just a moment, and we'll watch a brief film about your amazing exploits in Afghanistan, and then we'll ask you to come join us.
Sometimes I really imagine I'm living in a ship which is nearby to be drawn. People inside the boat are fighting for survival.
Women face domestic violence all over Afghanistan. Women are not allowed to do any social activity, just like prisoners.
In the past 40 years, when Afghanistan is passing through the war, of course, this problem has aggravated. It has taken more worse shape than before.
We try to empower women. They should understand about their right, and they should a prosperous and dignified life. I was on 3rd grade when the Russian invasion in Afghanistan started, and the situation was very bad. From the 8th grade onward, we migrated to Pakistan. That time was a very shocking moment in my life. My other sisters and their children were dying in the camps without food and shelter. We established our center by the name of Noor Educational Center. Noor means light.
It was 2002, after the political change, we came back to Kabul. We start our work from literacy program for 2,000 women. Education is very important in Islamic religion. And today we are in condition that we are not allowed to go to school, but Holy Prophet orders us even go to China to seek knowledge. We were facing lots of challenges with religious leaders of the community.
Women were not allowed to go to the mosques. For the first time in the history of Afghanistan, we opened 2 women's sections in 2 mosques, and now we have the network of imams in 22 provinces. And from 25 people, now it has reached to 6,000 imams.
وقتی که علاقمندی و دلسوزی خانم جمیله افغانی را دیدم، ما بیشترتر تشویق شدم که باید در این راه مبارزه علیه خشونت زنان کار کنم.
I know it's a long journey ahead. I have lots of things to do. We are human beings, and this is our responsibility to struggle. بنی آدم اعضای یکدیگرند که در آفرینش ز یک جوهرند. چو عضو به درد آورد روزگار، دیگر عضوها را نماند قرار. تو که از درد دیگران بی غمی، نشاید که نامت نهند آدمی.
Now, I would like to invite on stage Jamila Afghani, who is the chairperson of the Noor Educational and Capacity Development Organization in Afghanistan.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really humbled to be among you as one of the finalists of Aurora Prize. And this evening, in such a prestigious gathering, I thank Aurora for recognizing work of all of us and work of mine as an Afghan woman, that all the time we are suffering from oppression and suppression. Thank you very much. I have many things to share, but I know I don't have time. But I really want to share the very fresh feeling that I have right now after the visit from the memorial of genocide. I went there, I put flower, I kept silent, and I cried. Thousands of people were killed because of their religion, because of their identity, by Ottoman Empire. And today in Afghanistan, on every day, brothers are killing brothers with the same religion, with the same background. Let's come together. Let's join hands. Let's stand together. Let's not repeat. Let's not witness to repetition of such a genocide, such a criminal activity. We all are responsible wherever we are living, whether in Armenia, whether in any corner of the world. Together we can, alone we cannot. Thank you. With this precious medal, I'm carrying the hope in my heart that one day my country will become like Armenia.
Thank you, Jamila. I know we were all so moved by your words. Now, to remind us of the joy and passion that we share even as we're trying to deal with the suffering in the world, we have a special surprise. I want the audience to join me in recognizing a young man whose exploits in sports have thrilled Armenia and the world. Henrik Mkhitaryan. As I think everyone in this audience knows, his goal on Wednesday helped Manchester United win the UEFA EuroLeague title. Congratulations. But even as we celebrate his amazing talent, we remember that the city that he plays for, Manchester, was struck last Monday night in a terrible terrorist attack, and we think of Manchester tonight, and we're grateful for them and their resilience and continuity. And Henrik, thank you for joining us tonight. The Aurora Prize is about the human values that endure, even through genocide, that are shared by caring people everywhere. To symbolize this shared culture of life, which draws together many nations, Aurora wants to present tonight a ballet whose score was written by a brilliant Armenian composer about a hero in ancient Thrace that was first performed by the Bolshoi Ballet in 1968 in Moscow. How's that for multicultural combination? The Bolshoi Theater production of Spartacus, with music by Aram Khachaturian and choreography by Yuri Grigorovich, belongs to Russian, Armenian, and world culture. An excerpt from the ballet will now be performed by the leading soloist and principal of Moscow's Bolshoi Theater, Maria Vinogradova, and Denis Rodkin, soloist, and conducted tonight by Konstantin Orbelian. The music is the Adagio of Spartacus and Phrygia from that beautiful ballet. Bravo, brava. Thank you for that exhilarating dance, which lifts all of our hearts and spirits. We're grateful not only to the soloists, but also for the generous assistance from the head of the ballet company of the Bolshoi Theater of Russia, Maher Vaziev. Now, you can't have too much beautiful music. So, as an extra treat, we will now hear a performance of Vocalize by the Armenian composer Arno Babajanyan, sung by the great opera diva Maria Gulagina. Magnificent. Thank you, Madame. Just as art and music search for answers to the questions that matter in such beautiful ways, so do social scientists and policymakers. Aurora, too, searches for ways of having an impact on the humanitarian needs around the world. One of them is the Aurora Humanitarian Index, conducted the past 2 years in conjunction with Kantar Public. This year, this public opinion poll doubled the number of countries surveyed and increased them to 12, and increased the number of respondents around the world to 6,500. Special attention was paid this year to the problems of migration and integration. The results revealed a disturbing pattern. The richer the country and the higher its GDP per capita, the less the citizens of the country are open to people who need help, in particular refugees. The results showed that the majority of the world's population thinks in ways that sadly encourage isolationism, nationalism, and populism. However, as in so many things, the young give us hope. The poll showed that an increasing number of young people think that immigrants and refugees can not only create problems, but also have a positive role. Our fourth finalist is from another country ravaged by war, a country that took in so many Armenians, including members of my own family, who were suffering the scourge of genocide. That nation is Syria. For help, I turned to a young Syrian musician named Mariella Shakar, who fled Aleppo in 2013 with her violin after braving bombs and mortars to send off applications to study music in America. Throughout her journey, officials were convinced her violin case was a gun. Now she has a master's degree in music and has performed at the Kennedy Center in Washington. Here are the lyrics of one of the songs she remembers hearing as a girl, called Nami Nami, or Sleep, Sleep. Go to sleep, little one, let us rest on this straw mat. Go to sleep while it's yet dark. Soon the clouds will disappear and reveal a great light to light up the neighborhood. My beautiful one with the lovely black hair, whomever does not love you or kiss you knows not what they are missing. Our next nominee, the Syrian doctor Mohammed Darwish, risks his life to help the desperate suffering in his country. Let's see a film about his life and activities in Syria.
لقد غادرت مضايا منذ 10 أيام فقط وحصلت على لجوء. إنه شعور غريب، بإمكاني أن أتجول في الشارع دون أن أخشى القناصين، أشاهد الباعة المتجولين أو أجلس في المقهى. لم يكن كل هذا ممكنا حيث عشت السنوات ال5 الماضية. هلا مع بداية الأحداث بسوريا بال2011 أنا كنت عم أدرس طب الأسنان بجامعة دمشق. صارت طموحاتنا إنه نحصل على حريتنا أو العدالة أو الشيء اللي خرجنا مشانه، يعني طلبات بسيطة كانت، بس للأسف تبعتها حرب أو صار الوضع اللاحق مأساوي جدا. مسقط رأسي في مدينة مضايا أصبحت تحت سيطرة المعارضة وبدأت تتعرض إلى قصف مكثف بالمدافع والطيران. بعام 2012 وارجع للبلدة. حينها كان في مضايا نقص حاد في الكادر الطبي، فبدأت العمل كمساعد طبيب أثناء العمليات الجراحية في المشفى الميداني، ولغاية عام 2015 كنا نتلقى مصابين بالشظايا ومن القناصين. في الحالات الصعبة كان ممكن إرسال المصابين إلى دمشق. لكن بعد تضييق الحصار لم يعد باستطاعة أحد مغادرة البلدة وبدأت المجاعة.
مع شهر 11 2015 بلش المجاعة بمضايا، صفوا يرجعوا لعنا أو يراجعونا مرضى المجاعات.
في هذه الفترة أيضا بدأنا نستلم مصابين نتيجة انفجار الألغام، حيث حاول بعض الأهالي الهرب والتخلص من الجوع، لكنهم لم يستطيعوا تجاوز الألغام في محيط البلدة. قتل 13 شخص و13 آخرين بترت أطرافهم بسبب الألغام. لم تصل الإغاثة إلا بعد 3 أشهر. فلن أنسى قصة 3 أطفال كانت أعمارهم في 8 سنوات أصيبوا بالغم.
أول واحد مات فورا، الثاني إصابة بالرأس، ما حسنا نعمل له شيء. صراحة وقفنا مع جنب، ضمدناه وقفنا عم نتفرج عليه وصرنا نبكي إنه عم يموت بين إيدينا وما عم نقدر نعمل له شيء.
أن نفعل له شيئا، وللأسف فوفته المنية، حيث لم يكن لدينا جراح أعصاب أو جراح عصبية.
الطفل الثالث كمان للأسف يعني إصابته كانت جدا قوية وتضررت كثير صراحة، كمان ما حسنا ننقذ حياته. ف3 أطفال دفنوهم سوا، صراحة كان أمر مأساوي جدا.
أصعب فترة مرت علينا كانت خلال شتاء 2016، حيث غادر مضاي الأطباء الأخصائيين وبقينا أنا وزميلي الدكتور حسين وهو طبيب أسنان، والدكتور محمد يوسف وهو طبيب بيطري. لم نستطع مغادرة مدينتنا واضطرينا أن نجري العمليات الجراحية. مع قلة خبرتنا كنا نعاني من نقص الأدوات الطبية والأدوية. أتذكر جيدا أول عملية أجريناها لفتح بطن، حيث تعرض شخص لإطلاق النار من قناصة اخترقت أمعائه. كنا نصور مراحل العملية ونرسل الصور عبر الواتساب إلى زملائنا الأخصائيين لينصحونا ويقدموا لنا المشورة. مع ضعف شبكة الإنترنت، حيث كنا موجودين داخل القبو، فكنا نخرج من القبو إلى الأعلى ونرسل لهم الصور ونشرح لهم ماذا يحدث، ثم نعود ونعقم ملابسنا في كل مرة. استغرقت هذه العملية 10 ساعات.
بتذكر بيوم عملنا 3 عمليات فتح بطن بنفس اليوم، كان في قصف شديد على البلدة.
وفي مرة أخرى قمنا بعملية فتح بطن وعملية قيصرية في نفس الوقت، وكانت حالات طارئة. في آخر 5 أشهر كانت تتعرض مضايا لقصف كثيف، الغاية منها إجبار المعارضين للنظام على ترك المدينة. في شهر إبريل حصلت مبادرتنا بسكان مدينتين آخرتين التي كانت محاصرة من قبل المعارضة. أنا والآلاف من أبناء بلدتي غادرنا موطننا على متن باظات، ولا أحد يعلم متى نعود.
في البداية كان حلمي هي إنه طبيب أسنان مختص بأحد المجالات، بس هلا أو بعد الشيء اللي شفته، لا أنا بدي إن شاء الله غير اختصاصي لطبيب جراح. الصراحة لأنه ممكن له فائدة أكثر وممكن يحفظ أرواح أكثر. يعني طبيب أسنان مجرد إنه ممارسة بسيطة، أما الجراح أو الطبيب بشكل عام هو بإيده إنه يحفظ أرواح. فأنا الفرع اللي بدي أكمل فيه هو الطب البشري، لا أقدر ساعد أكثر.
I'm sorry to tell you that Dr. Darwish cannot be with us tonight because of the war. We honor him and others who so bravely provide medical services in Syria, such as Médecins Sans Frontières. We will do everything possible to ensure that this finalist award finds its rightful place with him. Our last finalist is a man who walked out of his American life into the lives of people who suffered a modern genocide in South Sudan, in a war that killed 2 million people and created 4 million refugees. For a hint of the culture in which this Aurora hero works, I offer not a lullaby, but a pop song heard by young South Sudanese by a singer who calls himself Crazy Fox. The title is Ana Ga'ad, which means I am staying in Arabic. Here's how Crazy Fox explained it to an interviewer. I'm tired of being run out of my country every single time and then coming back when peace is back. So I just told these guys, Ana Ga'ad, Anamamashi, I'm staying, I'm not leaving. I don't care if I'm to die here at home, just let me die at home. A man who helps the people of South Sudan stay and survive in their country is our next finalist, Dr. Tom Katina. He was, as many of you will remember, nominated for the Aurora Prize last year, but was unable to leave his patients to attend the ceremony. Remarkably, this year's selection committee, with over 2,000 nominations, included Dr. Katina in the final shortlist for a second time. He has single-handedly saved many lives in Sudan, where he serves 500,000 patients. 9 years ago, Dr. Katina left the United States and settled in the mountains of Sudan next to the hospital where he could be close to his patients. To present the medal to our next finalist, I would like to invite onto the stage the former Special Representative of the UN Secretary General for Defenders of Human Rights, Hina Jilani. Former Foreign Minister of Australia, Gareth Evans, now Chancellor of the Australian National University, and the head of Gazprom Media Entertainment TV subsidiary, a member of the Artistic Council, and a major donor of the Aurora Prize, Artur Janabekyan.
Mr. President, Your Holiness, ladies and gentlemen, what an opportunity today for all of us to join hands with the Aurora Humanitarian Initiative, not just to promote the message of gratitude in action, but also to celebrate the strength of the human spirit by recognizing the work of those who have overcome fear to stand up against violence, oppression, injustice, and inequality, to hold out their hands to protect others. These are not extraordinary people, ladies and gentlemen. They are ordinary people who have shown extraordinary courage and spirit of commitment and service in the most difficult circumstances. The uniqueness of the Aurora Humanitarian Initiative is the unfailing belief that there is a bond, an everlasting bond, between the Savior and the saved. A bond which will inspire the saved and those who have been assisted to assist others, not as an obligation, but in gratitude and as a tribute to the spirit of humanity. Thank you.
Բարի երեկո, սիրելի ներկաներ, շատ հաճելի է բոլորիդ ողջունել մեր մայրենի և սիրելի հայերեն լեզվով։ Այս երեկոյի ընթացքում կարմիր թելով սկզբից մինչև վերջ անցնում է մեր պատմության էջերը և մեր մեծագույն առավիրքները, որը մենք վերապրել ենք։ Վերապրել ենք և ուժ ենք գտել մեր մեջ ստեղծելու երևույթներ, որը հրավիրում է ամբողջ աշխարհի ուշադրությունը։ Սփյուռքը, որը առաջացավ մեծագույն առավիրքից, ծնեց մարդկանց խումբ, որոնք դարձան Ավրորայի հիմնական դոնորները և կազմակերպիչները։ Երկիրը, որը ունենք, չնայած բոլոր առավիրքներին, Սփյուռքը, երկիրը եւ իհարկե մեր մեծագույն ձեռքբերումը Արցախը։ Ես ներողություն եմ խնդրում, որ բոլորի ուշադրությունը սևեռում եմ ավելի ներհայկական մասի վրա։ Դրանով չասելով, թե Ավրորան համամարտկային չի, դրանով ասելով, որ մենք կարողացել ենք ամբողջ աշխարհի մարդասիրության կենտրոն ճանաչել Հայաստանը։ Այն Հայաստանը, որը վեր խոյացավ մոխրից եւ այսօր կարողանում է հրամցնել եւ իլուր աշխարհի հայտարարել, որ ահա մենք Հայաստանը դարձնում ենք մարդասիրության կենտրոն։ Կեցե Ավրորան, կեցեք բոլորդ։ Շնորհակալություն։
For 10 years now, since 2007, Dr. Tom Katina, a Catholic missionary from upstate New York, has been the only doctor permanently based in the war-ravaged Sudanese Nuba Mountains, where he serves a population of well over 500,000 people. He sees something close, often more than 400 patients a day. He's on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He estimates that he performs something over 1,000 operations a year. It's often the case that people walk for up to 7 days to see him. They come with injuries from bomb attacks, and they come, of course, with a whole variety of other ailments, broken bones, malnourishment, malaria. Dr. Tom, as he's universally known, is someone who works not only in incredibly difficult conditions, often without water, often without electricity, but he works in very dangerous conditions. Many, many times over the years of this war, his hospital, he himself, has been subjected to aerial bombardment. Now, the ceasefire which applies is very fragile. Still, this is still a war zone. We were impressed last year by Dr. Tom Katina, by Dr. Tom on the jury. We continue to be inspired by his work. He's a preeminent medical professional, and he's exactly the kind of selfless humanitarian this wonderful Aurora Prize was created to celebrate. Tom Katina, please join us on the stage.
To allow Dr. Katina to attend this year, 3 Armenian doctors, Gevorg Voskanyan, Haik Hovhannisyan, those 3 doctors are Gevorg Haik and Armin Barkudarian, have volunteered to stand in for Dr. Katina in Sudan while he's here. That is the Aurora spirit in action. Here is a short film about their work.
You guys are very welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. Now, this clinical diagnosis. My mind is always going to be here. So I'm always thinking about what's happening back here in Nuba.
Բարև ձեզ։
Ողջույն, ողջույն բժիշկ Թոմ։
Երբ վերադառնաք, ինչ արհեստավարությամբ հանձնեցիք հոսպիտալը մեզ, նման կերպ գործենք նաև հանձնել ետ։
I'd like to share with you a film about Dr. Katina's unique work.
The thing that impresses me about the Nuba is their sense of independence and their feeling of pride, but we have a sense of dignity. We are humans. We're the equal to anybody else. I love that about them. When the war started, this is June 2011, most of the humanitarian organizations, there weren't so many, but the ones that were here in the mountains, most of them left. Some of the hospital staff, the expatriate staff left. I stayed behind, Amoni sisters stayed behind, and the priests stayed behind. We all felt the same thing. We felt this is really the moment of need for the people here. All that time when I was the only doctor, I was responsible for all the patient wards. So I was the doctor doing the rounds and following the progress and taking care of them. You know, what that really helped was the staff really pulled together. When those things happen, you say, I'll do any other job in the world. Let me be an accountant, because books don't bleed, people don't die, you're just doing numbers. And your brain is just on fire. And then something brings you back. Whatever, some kid comes up or somebody that you didn't think would do well survives. You're like, come on, man, just grow up, just do your job. You gotta do it. Children give you life. That's a source of life. And just their attitude, their cheerfulness. Kids just want to be normal, they want to play. When you have a kid and he's badly burned or badly wounded or whatever, and once he starts improving, wants to start playing with you and can joke with you, can tickle the kid, he'll tickle you back, he'll joke around with you. This just gives you energy to continue on with life. A goal of mine to achieve would be, one, if the hospital here continues to grow, I would love to see it as an academic institution. Teaching hospital in really the middle of the bush. So people come here to learn, send people out for their work. So this is an academic center for training. I would love to see that in the future. Everybody have the spark of God in us. So use that spark. You, individual, you have that within you. You can do something. What it normally takes is a will. Care about another human being. You care deeply about another person. I first off want to congratulate the Aurora committee for getting me to wear a suit. It's the first time in over a year, so you've done a heck of a job. Thank you for that. I really appreciate the work of the Aurora people. The most important reason is they help to highlight the plight of the people of Imba Mountains, so I really appreciate that effort. Thank you very much. You know, sometimes people ask me, what is the most difficult part of your job? And the answer is very easy, and it comes very readily. And the answer is, the most difficult part is having to watch your patients die. And it's the most excruciating pain you can imagine. And imagine you have 3 or 4 patients die in a single day. You go to the children's ward, and a child that was hit with an incendiary bomb from the Sudan Air Force, 60%, third-degree burns on his body, dies in your arms. You go from that to the female ward, where a woman with terminal breast cancer dies. Next to her is a woman that you've had to amputate the leg after stepping on a landmine. You go to maternity, and a mother with toxemia, pregnancy, preeclampsia, has a convulsion, and she dies during childbirth. You go to male ward, and one of the soldiers you operated on maybe the previous day, maybe 2 days before, dies, and you're sitting there trying to explain to the family what happened. Then you go outside, and I'm talking about a typical day. You go outside, there are 7 tents. We're dealing with the measles epidemic, and you walk in the tent Sunday morning, and a mother is wailing and screaming. She's rolling around on the ground crying because her baby has just died from measles. And at that point, you feel that all the sadness and the grief in the world are sitting on top of your head. They're inside your chest, squeezing you. You can't even breathe. And you sit down, and you think, and you stand up, and you walk outside. And one day, I walked out of this measles tent, and the Sudan Air Force sent a bomber overhead. I looked up and I said, drop this bomb on top of me. This grief is too much. Just do it. And then something happens. You shake yourself a bit. You walk over and you see a kid there. And he says, hey, Dictor, Kif. I say, hey, ana quest, Mabatal. He just wants to play with you. You go to the female ward, and there's an old Habuba, an old grandmother, who says, doctor, thank you for being here. You go to the men's ward, an old man is there, and says, please, don't leave us. And you slowly get your sense back, and you realize that we are perfectionists. These people who've been traumatized, who've been pushed down, under the thumb, oppressed for centuries, they don't need perfection. They don't expect us to do miracles. What they need is someone to sit there with them and suffer with them. That's what they need. If you can do that, you've helped all the people there. So really, I appreciate the Aurora and what they're doing, because my goal is to help to publicize a bit the plight of the people of the Imba Mountains who have suffered tremendously over so many years. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tom. Now I want to share another special Aurora moment. During the years of genocide, the most important task for the preservation of the Armenian people was collecting the fragments of the nation, the return to Armenia of the women and children from harems and Muslim families, as well as youths who escaped the genocide, finding shelter in abandoned villages, forests, and rocks far away from civilization. So a movement started called One Armenian, One Zlotnik, made up of Armenian charitable organizations such as National Guardianship, the Armenian General Charitable Union, and even the Armenian Church. This collecting orphans movement was sometimes done by almost professional scouts. Many of the orphans had already lost their native language and had been forcibly Islamized. They'd forgotten their real names, the names of their parents and their hometown. Those who remembered were afraid to admit that they were Armenians because they remembered that their relatives were brutally murdered for this. Volunteers joined in these rescue activities. I want to tell you a story about one such group. In the 1920s, several young people with good education life prospects raised money, sewed coins into their clothes, and voluntarily left the United States, traveling to the Middle East in search of the Armenian children taken away there. On the way, they were attacked and traveled at great risk to their own lives. Their puzzle was to find how to find Armenian children assimilated in a foreign country. And then someone remembered the special language of children. They asked a woman in their team to go out to the public square and start singing a lullaby in Armenian, the only lullaby she remembered from her own childhood. Children who did not speak Armenian started coming out from the crowd toward the girl, more and more of them. Volunteers recovered several thousand children in this way from the local population. The destinies of people who had passed through the road of death took different paths, many of them cruel, even after survival. Some of those rescued could not live with the memories of what they'd seen. Some went insane. Some committed suicide. But the heroic volunteers who came to get them will forever remain in our memory and in the memory of the people they rescued, their children and grandchildren. Let's now hear the Armenian lullaby, Ari Im Sokak, performed by the distinguished artist of the Republic of Armenia, Anna Mailian, and the State Chamber Choir, Hover.
Oh
Thank you to everyone who joined in that. I promise you it would be special. Together, we experienced a very emotional moment, and let us join in saying thank you to all the heroes who risked their lives for the sake of saving us and our ancestors. A special thank you to our major donor, Vladimir Avetissian, and to Alex and Lena Afeyan and Misha Grigoryan. This is a good moment to celebrate another powerful work of remembrance, the remarkable new film, The Promise, which is telling the Armenian story to audiences around the world. Here to show us a brief clip from that wonderful movie, which was financed generously by the late Kirk Kerkorian and superbly produced by Eric Israelian. Unfortunately, Eric couldn't join us today, but he has shared an excerpt from Joe Berenger's excellent documentary on the making of The Promise.
You don't run after someone for 100 years for them to just turn around and go, fine, I did it. What? You know? It's not just about them admitting it, it's about justice. We want justice.
Surrender these weapons! Come down, or we will kill you all.
All we ask is to live in peace here.
If you're Armenian, you grow up hearing all the stories about the genocide, about your ancestors, about the things that they've been through, and all of my ancestors have been a part of this somehow. So I guess I'm the result of orphans who ran away at the time, you know?
Kirk Kerkorian was unwavering in his desire to make this film. He would be so proud right now, day 72 of 72, that we wrapped, and it's better than we ever imagined.
This was not an easy road, but we're all a part of it, every single one of you. Go and tell the story. Tell the story to the rest of the world.
You form a family when you make a movie, and I'm so deeply grateful. And I love you all. Thank you.
A year ago, I stood on this stage alongside my friend, the filmmaker and philanthropist George Clooney. This year, he has a good excuse for not being here. He's about to become a father. We wish him and his family health and happiness. We may not have him here in person, but he's here by video link. The selection committee member, filmmaker, and philanthropist, George Clooney.
I'm sorry that I can't be with you all tonight in Yerevan, but I can say in all sincerity that I am with you in spirit. As co-chairman of the Aurora Prize Selection Committee, I'm so impressed with this year's finalists. Each one of them are modern-day heroes that epitomize the spirit of the Aurora Prize as individuals who put themselves at risk to help those in the greatest need. Every day, each one of us is inundated with news on war, conflict, and human rights violations. Rather than focusing on the death and the destruction, which everyone should and will, let's put some focus on the people who are doing good in humanity, like there were people that were doing good for the Armenians in 1915. And that's why it's so important that we recognize and empower people like the finalists to create a global humanitarian movement. The finalists are role models to all of us and demonstrate that individuals can truly make a difference. Like the prize founders, Rubin, Vartan, and Nubar, I believe we all have a role in addressing these global challenges. We all have a responsibility, each of us individually, and the only way this is going to work is if we all work to build it up. So you have to be engaged. I grew up in a time and a generation and a family that believed that it's not just okay to take care of yourself, that we're as successful as the least fortunate among us. I've been in so many places in South Sudan, in Darfur, in the Congo. So many situations where you see that the best way for something to move forward starts at a ground level, always. I applaud the founders, the finalists, and all of you in attendance for supporting this incredible initiative. You're a testament to the principle that united, we can make a difference. And I really would have been there, but if I came there and my wife had twins while I was there, I could never come home. Have a good night.
And George, you're right. So I want to join George from afar in asking Aurora's founders, Vartan Gregorian, Nubar Afayan, and Ruben Vardanyan, to come join me on the stage.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, բարերգոս հյուրադի հրանեկիցներ։ Ես ճառ էի գրած, բայց ճառս բևոչ գրպանստրի, որպես կուզեմ խոսել սրտից։ I wrote a speech and read it, but it was not me. So I decided to put the speech in my pocket and speak from my heart. The other day, American University of Beirut, I quoted Brecht's Life of Galileo, in which there is a famous line, "Cursed be the land that needs heroes." Because we've become so depraved that few are exceptional, but those few lift us up, but still do not allow us to cope with our depravity. Nietzsche said, if God is dead, everything is possible. If shame is gone, everything possible. If decency is gone, everything possible. So you saw now, I'm very emotional because I grew up in Tabriz where you did not hit a woman, where you did not kill a child, where you did not hit an elderly, you did not hit a cripple. Life was sacred. All Abrahamic faiths taught dignity of religion, dignity of man. And now we have made an exception and murdered on the altar of ultranationalism, sacrificing ethnic groups, sacrificing women, sacrificing ethnic groups, nations, because people would like to have perfect system for their own. That's what worries me. That's why I'm very proud of Nubar and Ruben for their vision of sparking a fire, however small fire, which already has become spread like a fire all over the world. People are talking about this small spot on the map called Armenia, called Yerevan, out of which has started this feeling that murder has no borders, race has no colors. We are all human beings, supposedly to be handiwork of God and creatures of God. So, thank you, Ruben. I mean it. Thank you, Nubar. Your vision has begun, and we have now made this a movement, not an Armenian movement, but an international movement. And I hope all of you have helped us. I hope all of you will spread the rumor that this is a failure, so we can prove how successful it is. Because I'm very proud that we're small, but we think big. Today I came from, today's May 28. Few miles from here, Battle of Bashabaran, Sardarabad were fought in 1918, where Ottoman authorities had said, don't even allow 500,000 Armenians to be saved. If they're saved, They pretty soon will come 3 million. If they come 3 million, they will have a new Bulgaria on our border. If they come 3 million, they'll join Iran against the future Ottoman Empire. Well, they did not succeed because right here, Armenians survived. So we have remembered our genocide, but we think of humanity. We are unique, but we think of universals because we are Armenians. After all, Noah's Ark came up on Mount Ararat right here. So the three enduring elements of Armenia, Noah's Ark, Mount Ararat, our Batena Daran repository of Armenian knowledge, and most importantly also, of course, our youth and others we've been brought up to respect, not to be shamed, not to destroy on the altar of ultranationalism people as dehumanized creatures for the glory of whatever purpose they mention. So I'm sorry I became emotional, Ruben. I had promised not to. But thank you very much for your leadership. Thank you for your help. And thank you very much.
Gratitude in action, the countless survivors around the world who owe their chance at life to the generosity of others, can best acknowledge such benevolence by taking similar action. That's been the message tonight. This gratitude in action concept is really the foundation of the Aurora Prize. We created this as an initially a small movement, but we are seeing it grow. We want to inspire those that received help from others to reciprocate, and when they get stronger, give back. Gratitude in Action has now become a set of projects for us. In addition to the prize, in addition to many of the activities that many of you joined this weekend, we also have begun a set of programs. We announced last year 100 scholarships that are directed to those that are suffering from the same conditions today that Armenians were saved from 100 years ago. We are participating and cooperating with the 9/11 commemoration program, an institution as part of Armenians giving thanks back to America for what they did. And also today we announced that we'll participate in the reconstruction of a very symbolic church in Potsdam, Germany, which was destroyed during World War II, in appreciation for German soldiers who stepped in and saved many Armenians during the genocide, and in appreciation of the government of Germany and the Lutheran Church that has condemned the actions of that time. Finally, tonight, we also want to extend that gratitude in action in announcing that through 2 anonymous donations, each of the finalists, in addition to the laureate, will receive $25,000 to support their work, and we congratulate them all. Thank you.
Dear Vartan, I ask you not to be emotional, but I am myself very emotional tonight, to be honest. And thank you, Nubar and Vartan, what we're doing with all of you. It's amazing. But I want to say a few words, which I feel also I prepared some speech, but I decided to change it. You know, I found myself feeling shame a little bit. But I become 49 years old man, successful. And I learned about history of my nation just because we started this project 3 years ago in details. More I'm reading, more I'm amazed by how many brave people put their lives under risk, how many nationalities have been engaged and involved to save and help Armenians, how many stories we lost that we didn't know about for different reasons. And you know, when I heard the story about this guy who went and bought out 6,000 kids from this Syrian villages, and I said, I can't believe it. I didn't know. I grew up without knowing this, and I really feel bad about it. I hope our ignorance and our apathy will be gone because we need to know our history. We need to know how brave people have been, from Protestant missionary, from our own Armenian HBU who've been involved in this whole process, as many of the years, about Nubar Pasha and other people who've been engaging in money, and about Near East Relief Foundation and many other foundations which We heard the name but a little bit, and in Armenia, if I ask most of the people, we will never know about these heroes. We don't know about these institutions. And I found myself as bad. The same I'm feeling bad about Kirkoyan, who passed away. And today in Armenia, it's like ignored, nothing happened. This guy who been here, who made this for us as a contribution, and we're not naming no street, no scholarship, nothing. And I said, something wrong in us. We need to be appreciating about people who are doing something for our nation. The second feeling I have, I'm so proud to be here together with all of you. Because really we're talking about snowball effect. We have a snowball effect. We had a first year 113 stories, second year 253 stories, and only 20% is repeated, which means we got 300 stories which the world doesn't know. And I'm so thankful for not only today the finalists of this year, but also the finalists of previous year came again. And this is the network. And if I may, I want to ask all of you to stand up and say thank you for coming again to Armenia. And Bernard Kivi and Seyda Fadima from again and all. And again, it's something very special. And I want to say, really, what you did is amazing, and we're very thankful. And I believe this is what makes us strong. I believe this is making us really successful because we are building a network of the people who see we're not alone. We're doing something together in different parts of the world. But other element of snowball, I want to say, when we started this project, it was 3 of us. And it was a crazy idea. In 2014, we said, let's do it. Let's do differently in 2015. Let's put the message to the Armenia and to the world with the humanitarian values as a key element, and we are a nation who suffer more than anybody in the 20th century, or like other very different nations have been suffering in the Holocaust or Rwanda. We know what it means to be suffering under this. And we want to give back. And we want to give back the way we want to give what people will feel, despite we're not the richest country in the world, despite we're facing a lot of problems, despite we're all under big pressure in economical and social and other psychological, we can do it. And I want to ask, I know, forgive me all my friends who are sitting here, you know, it's 3 of us become 70 people in 2016 and 200 people today. If I may, I don't want to go on MMA, and it is not the donors, you're not the donors, you're a supporter of the movement. And I ask you all to stand up, people who support this project and they're in the hall. And I want people to see it, don't be shy, don't feel it's bad, please stand up. I want to be able to say who support the project. I want to say we are a network, we are the powerful people who make really this all possible. And I want to say really, brothers, sisters, thank you. We are doing something which is we need to be proud. I want to say thank you again for all of you doing this for, I think, for the world, because for our future generation. And I believe it's the only way we can do, we need to do together. Thank you.
Thank you, Vartan, Nubar, and Ruben, 3 great and generous men and dear friends for so many of us. Now, let me invite all the finalists of the Aurora 2017 prize who are here with us to the stage. Please. Aurora has no secrets except one, which will soon be revealed, the name of the recipient of the Aurora Prize 2017 and the recipient of the beautiful statuette that's been made. I'd like to invite onto the stage representatives of the audit and consulting firm Ernst & Young, independent observer and advisor for the Aurora Prize. Ernst & Young monitors the voting process starting from the moment the nomination process begins. All email messages, phone calls, other messages related to the selection process were held jointly with Tal Goldhammer and Elena Ratavosian of Ernst & Young. Please, if they would come join us with the announcement. So, my friends, we have a legend among us this evening. We're honored that he has agreed to come here and announce the winner of the Aurora Prize 2017. He is the poet, singer, actor, and pride of the Armenian nation, the great, incomparable Charles Aznavour. Charles has the envelope, I think, from Ruben, or perhaps Nubar is going to announce. Mr. Aznavour.
It's too big for me. It's better like this. Tom Katina.
Wow. I was a bit confused there. Sorry, I didn't know what to do. Oh, my God. Thank you very much. Shukran Gazilan. First off, I'd like to say thank you to the founders of the Aurora Prize. This is Ruben and Bardan and Nubar. This is really an incredible initiative. I also want to say thank you to the Aurora Committee. I have never seen such hardworking and professional people in my life. I can't imagine where you found so many young people dedicated to doing such great work. So really, you're all to be congratulated for this effort. I'd like to thank the people of Armenia. I've been here for the past week, and it's been the most incredible week of my life. I have never met such warm and hospitable people in my entire life. I'm just blown away by you people. It seems when I'm here, I feel like I'm with my family in my kitchen at home, and I'm from an Italian family, so this is the sacred place in the home. I have that feeling when I'm here with you, so I say thank you for that.
Thanks also to the organization which runs the hospital, the Bishop Gassis Relief and Rescue Foundation, and their fearless leader, Bishop Makram Gassis. I'd like to give just one brief story. I don't want to bore you with a long speech, but a couple years ago, we were at the hospital working diligently, and we heard the Sukhoi 24 aircraft bomber flying overhead. It's a supersonic bomber made during the Soviet era in the 90s, and Sudan bought them from Belarus back in 2013. Anyway, we heard the Sukhoi overhead. We dashed outside, we jumped in the foxholes, and started dropping some bombs. And my first feeling was, what are these people doing? Don't they know there are people down here? And you know, I felt like a caged animal with nowhere to escape. And then it occurred to me that they didn't care. They could care less about the lives of me and the other Nuba that were down in that foxhole, cowering, and trying to dig into the ground for our lives. And really, I came to the realization that that's the crux of our problems. Some people don't care about other people's lives. There's a difference in the value of life, where one group thinks their lives are more valuable than others. So this was a very profound lesson to me, where I felt my life was equal to these other Nuba that were in the foxhole with me. And I think if we could try to own that, try to take that on, it will be one small step into solving some of our crises. So really, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you all. I want to thank God especially for getting me and the rest of the finalists here safely. I ask for God's protection as we travel back to our dangerous areas, and ask for his protection on the people of Nuba and on the people of Armenia. Thank you all, and God bless you. So Ruben told me that I should name the 3 organizations that I nominated, and I think those guys come up. So I'm going to start with the Catholic Medical Mission Board, which is my sponsoring agency. I'm a lay missionary with the Catholic Medical Mission Board. And so Bruce Wilkinson is with them. If Bruce, you could come up. The next organization is the African Mission Healthcare Foundation. This is a wonderful organization which helps to keep mission hospitals like ours viable in very difficult environments. And that's represented by John Fielder. The third group is a German organization. They're called Action Kanchanaburi, and they do a lot of work with HIV and leprosy all over the world. And they're represented by Gerd Stegemann, who's come with us here.
I'm Bruce Wilkinson, CEO of Catholic Medical Mission Board, and we send medical volunteers. And up here in Dr. Tom, you have our longest serving medical volunteer, 17 years of voluntary service. Tom first volunteered for us in Kenya for 6 years and now has been in the Nuba Mountains for the past 11 years. And I also have to tell you that when there's trouble in the Nuba Mountains, being in New York and most of his family being in New Jersey, I get a phone call. My brother Bruce, get him out. His mom, Tom, you've got to get Tom out. Tom, it's dangerous, come out. What do you think? No, no. Tom and I have both spent a lot of time working in Africa. I spent 29 years living in Africa, and we've come to love Africa and the people of Africa. And one of the conversation pieces we had last night was how we've experienced the generosity of Africa and of its people. We have been deeply touched in our own lives by that generosity. And in fact, my New Year's resolution this year is to demonstrate more generosity. So thank you to the Aurora Prize for inspiring me again to renew my New Year's resolution. And Tom last night just said, Bruce, it is because I feel their generosity towards me that I can continue with my own generosity. So let's all be inspired by Dr. Tom. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Jeroen, for your hospitality in the last days. It was great to be here. It's a little big for a boy from Bochum, Germany, a manageable city. We're supporting Dr. Tom for 7 years. And I just want to let you know, Tom, that supporting your work for us, it's no work, it's more than a privilege. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Dr. John Fielder. I'm the president of the African Mission Healthcare Foundation. We assist Christian hospitals in Africa, which provide about 1/3 of the healthcare on the continent. And we've been working with Dr. Katina and his hospital for the last 5 years. Living and working in Africa since 2002, I've had the privilege and the opportunity to work with an incredible array of servant doctors. But I have never met or worked with anyone like Dr. Katina, with his array of skills, from surgery to pediatrics to delivering babies, to his unrelenting work ethic 24/7, and to his unwavering commitment to his patients despite risks to his own safety. So tonight I want to extend our gratitude on behalf of the many thousands of patients who will be touched and healed by this award. I want to extend our gratitude to the Aurora Prize, to the selection committee, and to the people of Armenia. God bless you. Asante Sana.
I need to apologize. I was so emotional, I forgot to say something which was very important. Today in the morning in Madanadaran, we made an announcement with Nubar, but we're creating a special fund on the name of Vartan Grigoryan to do research of history of Armenia, history of Armenian 20th century and language, and try to dedicate our money to the researcher who will do research for the future of our nation.
So our congratulations to Dr. Tom, whose story moved all of us, but all of the stories that we've heard tonight were moving and powerful. This is a world that often seems to be darkening, and tonight I felt I saw some light. I felt proud to be an Armenian. I also felt proud to be a citizen of the world. So my thanks, our thanks to all of you. We've talked all evening about music and folk songs, and we want to finish the ceremony also with a song. The same one that concluded last year's inaugural Aurora Prize ceremony. Maybe this will become a tradition, I hope so. Charles Aznavour's song, Pour toi, Arménie. Let's invite the opera diva Maria Gulagina to join us, and the State Chamber Choir Hover, accompanied by the State Youth Orchestra of Armenia, conducted by Sergei Simbatyan. Thank you. And thank you especially for the privilege of hosting this event. I hope everyone here, everyone who watched the ceremony on television and on the internet will become part of Aurora. Applications are now open for the Aurora 2018 prize. We meet again in a year to keep this new tradition alive and honor new heroes. I've been lucky and privileged to be your host, David Ignatius. Aurora and I will see you next year in 2018.